I was just binging scary stories alone at night, until one episode described my childhood exactly. "Don't read this at night," he said, tossing his hoodie over the chair. "Those scary Reddit stories always mess with your head." I nodded, laughed even. But when he fell asleep beside me, curled on his side like the world couldn't touch him, I reached for my phone. It was just past midnight, rain tapping the window, my dog, Luna, asleep at my feet, and my thumb scrolling. I've always loved horror stories. Not the gory kind, the kind that crawls, that builds, that breathes down your neck before you even realize it's in the room. Late at night, when the world goes quiet, I read them like scripture, ritual, relief. They remind me that fear, when it's fictional, has borders. Until that night. The post was simple, no flair, just the title that pulled at my nerves. The girl who reads this story every night. It was tagged fiction, but something about it felt wrong. Not in a sloppy way, in a sharp way. Like the writer wasn't guessing. They knew. She lives in a yellow duplex, second floor, no working porch light. There's a dog with white paws and a scratch behind her ear. Her bedroom smells like lavender spray and regret. I sat up, my heart a pause, because I live in a yellow duplex, second floor. My porch light has been out for weeks, and Luna, she does have a scratch on her right paw. Every night she reads until 12:47 a.m., then clicks off. But tonight, she won't. The timestamp on my phone said 12:46 a.m. I blinked, swallowed, scrolled further. The post was written in second person now. "You'll hear a creak outside your door. Don't get up. Don't go look. If you do, the story continues." A part of him laughed. A tiny voice whispered, "It's just fiction." But another voice, buried deeper, the one I ignored since I was a girl, said, "This is about you." I glanced at the door. Dark hallway. No creak. No movement. Just me, my phone, and a growing sense that someone had crawled into my life and lit a match behind my ribcage. You'll keep reading, because you always do, even when your boyfriend warns you not to, even when your dog whimpers, even when you recognize the next part. I froze, because Luna, she whimpered. A low, sharp sound. Not a bark, not a growl, a warning. I turned off the screen, tossed the phone onto the nightstand, slid under the blanket, tried to convince myself I was being ridiculous, that no one could know all that it was just well-written paranoia. But just before I drifted off, I heard it. Creak. From the hallway. Not loud, not long, just enough. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Because the last line of the post, the one I didn't finish reading, came back to me like a whisper wrapped in razor wire. And when she hears it, she'll realize this story was never meant for anyone else. I woke up to the light from my phone burning through the dark. One notification. Reddit. The same thread. The same title. The girl who reads this story every night. But something had changed. It had been edited. Updated 3 minutes ago. I opened it. The new line was just one sentence. Simple. Precise. Personal. Her name is Maya. My name. I sat up too fast. The blanket tangled around my legs. Luna barked. Just once. Not out of fear. Out of confusion. Like she could sense the shift in the air. I refreshed the page. More lines had appeared. She's probably awake now. Her dog barked at 6:42 a.m. She's reading this from her phone, not the laptop. The one with the cracked case. The one she dropped the night he left. My stomach twisted. Because that laptop, I did drop it the night Caleb left. 3 months ago. After we fought. After I screamed that I wasn't crazy. That I knew someone had been outside the house. He didn't believe me. Said it was paranoia. Said maybe all the horror stories were making me spiral. Then he packed a bag and walked out. I stared at the post. Scrolled again. Hands trembling. She thinks she's alone now, but she's not. I locked my phone. Put it face down. Walked into the kitchen. Turned on the kettle. Every sound felt sharper now. The creak of the floor, the hum of the fridge, the scratch of Luna's nails on the tile. All of it watched me. I tried to rationalize. It had to be a prank, a sick, twisted prank. Maybe Caleb? Maybe someone hacked my account? But I never posted anything personal. I never told Reddit my name, or my address, or the smell of my damn lavender pillow spray. I opened my laptop, clicked on my email, typed, "To Caleb. Subject, urgent. Are you behind this? Be honest, because if you are, it's not funny. It's not clever. It's disturbing. Call me." I hesitated, then hit send. Back to Reddit. I scrolled to the comments. Nothing useful. Just trolls. The usual mix of people who treat fear like fiction. This is fake, lol. Good writing, though. 10 out of 10 would read again. Creepy but not scary. One comment caught my eye. Posted 30 seconds ago. She's reading this now and she still thinks it's just a story. I slammed the laptop shut, heart racing. Turned to Luna. "Come here." She didn't move. She was staring at the hallway, ears back, tail stiff. My phone buzzed. New Reddit reply. "Look behind you." Not right away. Instead, I walked to the front door. Deadbolt. Still locked. Back door? Locked too. Windows? Closed. Curtains drawn. Everything looked normal, but nothing felt it. Finally, I opened the Reddit thread again. One last refresh. And this time, the final line wasn't about me. It was about him. The man who told her not to read scary stories never knew. One day, he'd be one. Ring, ring, ring. I stared at the screen. Caleb calling. My thumb hovered over the green circle. I didn't want to answer. Not because I was afraid of him, but because I was afraid of who would be on the other end. I tapped it. "Caleb?" Silence. Then, she answered. A voice. Male. Calm, but wrong. Not his. "Maya, you really shouldn't read things you're not ready to finish." My spine locked. Who is this? A chuckle. Dry. Too close. That's not the question you should be asking. Click. I pulled the phone away from my ear. No call history. No record of the call. Just 1:02 a.m. on the lock screen. And a notification. Reddit. Your thread has a new comment. I opened it. The story had changed. Again. Now it read like a live transcript. She called him. He answered. But it wasn't him anymore. My hand shook, and when she turns around to check the hallway, she'll hear the second knock. Knock. Soft. Measured. Exactly as promised. I froze. This wasn't fear anymore. This was coordination. Someone was puppeteering reality, second by second. I grabbed Luna's leash. She barked, frantic now. Not warning. Panic. We rushed out the front door, down the steps, onto the street, into the cold air. I called Caleb again, straight to voicemail. I tried his mom. No answer. His best friend, Darren. Finally, someone picked up. Maya? What's going on? Have you heard from Caleb? Pause. Yeah, actually, this morning, he said he was driving up to his uncle's cabin. Off-grid weekend. Did he say goodbye to me? Didn't mention you at all. Something snapped. I hung up, turned back toward the house. It looked normal from here, but something inside was wrong. Not broken. Infected. Back in the apartment, I checked my laptop. Reddit was still open. The story had updated again. She leaves the house, but she always comes back. They always do. This is where the story really begins. Tonight, she'll read the line that changes everything. You've been the story all along, and stories don't get to walk away. I slammed the screen shut. Something inside me cracked, not from fear, but fury. Whoever this is, they think I'm prey. They don't know me. I called the police, filed a report, explained everything. The story, the edits, the call. They were polite, skeptical. They said they'd make note of it, which meant nothing. Because how do you explain being written into something you never signed up for? That night, I didn't sleep. I put a knife under the pillow, left the TV on, sat with Luna on the floor, her ears twitching at every creak. At 2:47 a.m., I refreshed the thread one last time. A new line blinked at the bottom. She won't sleep, but she won't stop reading either, because part of her wants to know how it ends. The photo was grainy, but it was me, hair tied back, in the kitchen, pouring coffee into a chipped green mug. My chipped green mug. The angle? From behind, from inside the house. Taken at 6:04 a.m., the caption read, before she started doubting what was real. I dropped the laptop. Luna barked, pacing in circles. Someone had been inside. I called the police again. Same officer, same questions. But when I showed them the photo, the thread had changed again. The picture, gone. Ma'am, do you have a history of anxiety or delusion? Have you spoken to a professional? I wanted to scream. This is not a panic attack. This is a pattern. I pulled up Caleb's last known location, the cabin. 2 hours north. No cell signal. No neighbors. He always said he needed off-grid time. Now it felt like he was hiding. I packed a bag, charged my phone, told no one. Luna jumped into the passenger seat like she knew. The road curled into fog and trees. I played nothing on the radio. Every song felt fake against the weight of what I was chasing. The cabin was still. Too still. Curtains drawn. No lights. I knocked. No answer. Walked around the back. Found a key under the potted plant. Same place it had always been. Inside, it smelled like dust and sweat. A mug still on the table. A jacket on the chair. And then, a laptop. His laptop. Open. I sat. The screen displayed a text document. Titled, Draft. Final. Entry. I clicked it open. She thinks I'm the one writing the stories, but I'm not. I was the one who started them, but they took over. It watches me now.
makes me write. I don't sleep. It wants her next, because she believed too hard, read too deep. My throat got dry. My fingers scrolled. More entries. Dates. Times. Lines I remembered reading. He had been scripting it all, but something else had finished it. Then I saw it. A folder on the desktop. MAY. I opened it. Dozens of audio files. Photos. Screen recordings. Private messages. Voice memos of her crying. Recordings from inside my apartment. I backed away. Heart pounding. Skin cold. This wasn't just obsession. It was design. Behind me, a creak. I turned. Caleb, standing in the doorway. Unshaven, eyes wide. Thin, like someone who hadn't slept in days. You shouldn't be here. You've been watching me. No, it has. He stepped forward, shaking. I started writing those stories as a joke. One about a girl who reads horror at night. But the more I wrote, the more it knew. What knew? He didn't answer. Just turned to the wall and pointed. A phrase was carved into the wood, ragged, like nails.
She belongs to the story now. Slam. The cabin doors shut behind her like a gavel. Final. Heavy. The air thickened, not just with tension, but with presence. Her phone screen blinked. Black. Dead. No service. No light. She turned to Caleb. What does it want? He didn't respond, just pointed toward the laptop again. It writes when you're not looking. It learns you through what you fear. She picked up the laptop, and there it was, a blinking cursor, new words appearing one letter at a time. Welcome back, Maya. She slammed it shut. I need to leave. Caleb stood in her way. If you leave, it follows. But if you read, it ends. That phrase echoed. If you read, it ends. But how could it? Reading was what started it. Back in her apartment, hours later, after speeding away from the cabin, after locking every window, after breaking down in the shower with Luna curled at the curtain, she finally opened her laptop. It took a moment, a strange delay, as if the machine had to think before allowing her in. But eventually her desktop loaded. And right there, a new folder. She'll believe this. Created at 3:06 a.m. She hadn't touched her computers since before the cabin. She hadn't been home at that time. She hovered, double-clicked. Inside, screenshots, hundreds of them, from Reddit, from the thread, from other forums, from her email, her texts, drafts of messages she never sent, photos of her sleeping, photos of her reading the Reddit thread, from behind her, from inside her apartment. She gasped, "What is this?" But she already knew. This wasn't Caleb. It wasn't just some twisted ex-boyfriend game. This was something else. Then she saw the video file. lastreader.movie. She clicked. It opened in QuickTime. A grainy video, black and white. Footage of a woman, young, pale, reading from a screen, eyes wide. It looked like CCTV. Then she screamed. Suddenly, wordlessly, and the screen went black. The video cut to another clip. A man this time, sitting in a chair, murmuring, saying the same line over and over. If you read, it ends. If you read, it ends.
Then the camera shifted, and the man turned. It was Caleb. She slammed the lid shut, but it didn't shut off. The screen stayed on, words still typing. You want the truth? It's not Caleb's story anymore. It's yours. Her hands trembled. Luna barked at the screen, low and frantic. She grabbed a screwdriver, pried open the back of the laptop, yanked the hard drive out with shaking fingers. Nothing changed. The screen still glowed, still typed. You can't delete a story once it starts living in you. And you've read too far. She screamed, ripped the power cord, the battery, everything. The light finally blinked out. Silence. She sat back, chest heaving, sweat cold. For the first time in days, she felt still, until her phone lit up again. A single notification. No app, just plain text. The next folder's already there. Look deeper. Maya drove to the station with two things: her ripped open laptop and the folder from hell. She didn't sleep, didn't eat. She only stared at the file named Live Capture On and the blinking light above her webcam. The young officer at the front desk barely looked up. "Ma'am, are you in immediate danger?" "I think I'm being recorded, watched, hacked. Maybe worse." "Did someone send threats?" "It's not that simple. They're writing about me, in real time. Things no one should know." He sighed. You can file the cybercrime report." "No, you don't understand. It's not just online. It's here, in my apartment, in my laptop, in my life." An older officer overheard. He came over, taller, calm, stern. "Let me see it." She opened the laptop, navigated to the hidden folder. The files were still there. Photos of her, video footage, recordings, even a screen grab of her speaking to the first officer just moments ago. What the hell? The older man stepped back. "Wait here." She sat in a windowless room. 2 hours passed. Then 3. A female investigator came in. Not in uniform. She had a flash drive. "Miss Reed, how long have you been seeing these messages?" "Days. Maybe longer. They started on Reddit." "Have you read all of them?" "I tried to stop, but it keeps pulling me back." "Because that's how it learns." She froze. "You believe me?" The woman nodded, slow. "Because you're not the first." She plugged in the flash drive, opened a file. Redacted case report, Project Threadwalker. She leaned in, a blur of blacked out paragraphs, but one line was left untouched. Subjects who consume the full thread begin to experience live time bleed, where narrative and reality merge, often with fatal psychological collapse. She whispered, "This isn't just a story, is it?" "No," the woman replied. "It's an interface, built to lure the curious, and once it knows what scares you, it becomes you." Maya stood. "So, what do we do? Shut it down?" The woman hesitated. "We tried. The server routes don't exist anymore. It's no longer just online." "What do you mean?" She pointed to Maya's laptop. "That folder, it appeared before you got online, which means it's learning off-grid now." The room fell cold. Luna whimpered under the desk. "So it's not just digital?" The investigator shook her head. "No, it's infiltrative, narrative-based parasitism. We call it the living thread." The message on her phone read, "You think the police can stop a story? You just gave it more material."
The account name, you/always knew you would read. She froze, not because of the threat, but because that name, it was a phrase someone used to tell her, someone from her childhood. Her hands trembled. She dug through old texts, old journals, memories she'd buried so deep they felt fictional now. And then she found it, a birthday card from her uncle. "You always had a mind for stories, Maya. I always knew you would read." Uncle Henry. He wasn't tech-savvy, wasn't supposed to be, but he was the one who gifted her that first laptop, the one she still used. He was the one who encouraged her obsession with horror stories. He was the one who told her, stories are the only things that know you better than people do. She remembered now, Reddit wasn't where she first read "Don't read this at night." It was in an email, an anonymous chain letter, back when she was 13. It said, "This is a story that grows when you feed it. Don't read it after midnight, or it will read you back." She opened her laptop again, navigated deeper into a root directory she never accessed, found another folder, /family archive. Inside were story drafts, going back 15 years, written by someone who signed as Henry Knows the End. And then she saw it, a draft titled, "When the Reader Comes of Age." She opened it. The girl is curious. She thinks she's choosing to read, but the story always planned this. She will go to the police, they will confirm her fears. She will learn it began with someone she loved, and she will wonder if love can be weaponized. It can. Her skin crawled, because everything she read, every prediction, had happened. She drove 3 hours to his farmhouse. She hadn't spoken to him in 5 years, not since the family fallout. She remembered his bookshelves, his creepy VHS collection, how he always insisted fiction was the most honest mirror. When she arrived, the porch light was on, but the house was empty, dusty, quiet. Books everywhere, stacks of paper, and a hard drive, labeled Maya's Ending. She plugged it into her laptop. It auto-ran. No password. A video played. Her uncle, looking older, pale, eyes hollow. "Maya, if you're seeing this, then the story has already found you. I tried to stop it years ago, but it grew. Smarter, stronger, and it needed someone new. Someone connected. Someone brave enough to finish it. Someone like you." He leaned in closer. "I didn't write it, Maya. I found it, or maybe it found me. Either way, you're not reading a story anymore. You're completing it. You found the draft, didn't you?" The voice came from behind her. Low, close, real. Maya turned fast. No one. Just the echo of her own breath, ragged in the quiet farmhouse. She clutched the hard drive like a talisman. Her uncle's final message replayed in her mind. "You're not reading a story anymore. You're completing it." She drove back in silence. This time, she didn't flinch at the shadows, didn't jump at the wind, because now she understood the story wasn't just about fear, it was about control, and she wasn't the reader anymore. She was the author. Back home, she pulled out an old composition notebook, the one she used in college creative writing. She lit a candle, shut off her phone, disconnected the Wi-Fi, removed the laptop battery again, and she started writing. Not typing, writing, by hand, word by word. This is where the story ends. The girl doesn't disappear. She doesn't go mad. She doesn't belong to the thread, because she rewrites it. She wrote for hours, pages spilled like blood. She wrote about the cabin, the police, the voice behind her, the whispering code, the videos, her uncle's guilt, her own guilt. She wrote the line that had been missing all along. "I choose what I believe.
not what I fear. Then, just before dawn, she tore the pages from the notebook, fed them into the fireplace, watched them burn to ash. Not deleted, destroyed. No backups, no cloud saves, no trace, just smoke and silence. She fell asleep for the first time in days. No dreams, no whispers, just Luna curled beside her like nothing had ever happened. But when she woke, her phone had powered on, even though she had left it dead. One new message, no sender, just text. Nice draft. Now read ours. A link. /alternateending.txt. Her hands trembled, but she didn't click. She opened her browser, went to Reddit, to the thread.
But it was gone. 404. No archive. No mirror. Just gone. She smiled. For the first time, maybe ever. You lost. She whispered it to the room. Then louder. You lost. And then the lights flickered. Knock, knock. Maya opened the door with caution. It was her neighbor, Mr. Barlow. This just came for you. No return label, just showed up. He handed her the small brown parcel, wrapped tightly, too tightly. She stared at the handwriting. It was hers. Back inside, she peeled it open with scissors. Inside, her notebook, the one she'd burned. Same creases, same ink smudges, but with one difference. A title stamped across the front. Reader 2. She flipped through the pages. The handwriting wasn't hers. Not exactly. It was like a mimic, a perfect near copy, just off, enough to make her skin crawl. And the final page was something she never wrote. A single line. Tell the story, or become the next one told. She dropped the notebook. It landed on the floor with a sound too heavy for paper, like it wanted to be noticed. She backed away. But the lights flickered again, and her phone buzzed. A new email. No subject. No sender. Just one attachment. Reader3.start.doc. She unplugged everything, shut off the breakers, lit every candle she had, and sat in silence. The kind of silence that feels watched. She whispered into the dark, "I'm not reading anymore." No one answered. But she felt it, like pressure behind her eyes. The story wanted her to continue, to feed it. But she didn't write. She didn't click. Instead, she walked to the back of her closet, pulled down an old lockbox, took out the USB her uncle left her. And she did something she never dared. She read his final journal. Inside, schematics, psych profiles, timelines, dozens of other victims, people who'd read too far, and one line circled again and again. If one person can close a story, then someone has to start a new one to trap it again. Maya understood then. The story wasn't done. But maybe, just maybe, she could seal it. So she made a new thread, not on Reddit, but a private encrypted archive. Only one post, no comments, no upvotes, no shares. A warning: don't read this at night. Don't feed what watches you. If this thread finds you, burn it. Don't write back. Don't be next. Then she turned everything off, moved out of her apartment, changed her number, started over.
Now, when people ask what she does, she says she's a librarian or a data entry clerk. Something forgettable. But in truth, she watches. She listens. She checks the dark web every week to make sure it hasn't resurfaced. And if it has, she writes again. But only one line. I don't read those stories anymore. Because now, they read me. If this story moved you or opened your eyes, don't forget to hit heart, leave a comment, and share this report with someone who needs to see it.